Suzie, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Suzie, I've been so interested in hearing your story and like just the motivation behind it all and how your life has changed since, well, I guess since you had that conversation in a doctor's office. But before we even get to that, I just wanted to know, before all of that, before that moment when things changed, your career trajectory changed, everything changed, what were you doing before that? What did
So,
life look like?
life looked like for me being a mother of three children, Jasmine, who's now 22, Ned, who's just turned 21, and Maggie, who's 18, but clearly younger at the time. And I have a background in PR and events, but I hadn't been doing that since the kids were born because you sort of can't do those things having a family. I was being really a stay-at-home mum. I tried to dabble in things here and there in part-time capacities, but as our era, we don't do anything in part-time. So we take it home, we think about it, we're all involved, so it didn't really work. So I was being a stay-at-home mum, basically being an Uber driver and slave.
A cook, a cleaner, an Uber driver,
Yeah, all of the
doing the
above.
work.
But I loved it too. I
Yeah,
loved going, I loved
of
kids'
course.
sport, but we were psycho in those days. You know what it's like. You're just driving everywhere. You don't know if you're Arthur or Martha. The good thing about COVID was instead of waking up going, okay, where do I need to be this morning? We knew we didn't have to be anywhere. The only good thing.
Oh, I'm with you. I loved it. I actually loved that. It's kind of like I took a load off, didn't it? Because it was like there's one less job I have to do now.
Well, we had Jasmine was rowing. My husband was coaching her basketball as well, which was like a 9:30 game on a Tuesday. Ned's was a swimmer. Maggie was doing her thing. So we were waking up at 5:30 in the morning, not knowing who was driving who, where, what, how, why we were going to basketball at 9:30 at night, and then we just went, we can reevaluate.
Yeah, and you would be like us where with three, there's only two of you. So
Yeah.
logistically, there's always a challenge somewhere in there.
Absolutely. You're relying on someone to help with one child. But I've got a husband in real estate. So Saturday sport was me. So getting them
Oh,
somewhere, trying to get them to somewhere else, somewhere else, somewhere else. I don't even know how I did it. But I
no.
did.
Thank God those days are past
They
because
are.
it's a
And they go
challenge.
so quickly. That's what I tell
They
people. When
do.
people have got kids in year 7 or 8 and struggling with friendships, I'm like, it goes like that.
It does. 18 summers and then it's done and they
Yeah.
fly.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. And then they're meant to go out on their own, but they don't detach from the purse strings, that's for sure.
and then talk us through what happened, what changed all of this for you.
So I can't remember where I was or anything like that, but I did find a lump in my right breast. And I went to my doctor, who then put me onto a breast cancer surgeon who I knew about. Her name's Dr. Chantel Thornton, who I'd seen her before, and if I needed to go to any specialist, it was only going to be her. And what I found in my right breast, she also found in my left breast. But what happened first was she said to me, "Did you play sport?" And I was like, "Yeah, I did." She goes, "Well, do you ever remember receiving a trauma?" And I was like, "No, I don't." She said, "Well, what can happen is that you can receive a whack, it could be an elbow, a foot, a ball, who knows, to the breast that can present itself then or later in life. And that presents as fat necrosis. And fat necrosis mimic breast cancer cells. So you don't know you have it till you actually have surgery. It doesn't show up in imaging and it doesn't show up in biopsies either. So I was like, yeah, I don't remember getting a whack to the boobs, whatever. So then she sent me for, I must have gone, I clearly obviously went for ultrasound and mammograms to find out that, yes, I had the lumps, and then a biopsy was required, and that was the worst trauma of my life because they meant to put a local in. Well, the local didn't work, and it was like I was actually shot in
Oh
my left
no.
breast, and it was so painful. And I was black and green, and I was actually doing, maybe it was the Mother's Day function at Caulfield Grammar. I was on the committee then at the time, and I went to pick up some things afterwards at a friend's husband's work, and if he could see what was in my brain, it was like my hair was like an afro. I was like, I have just had the worst experience of my life. It didn't work. Oh my God, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, whatever happened then turned out I needed surgery, and I had lumps removed in both breasts and found out that they were actually fat necrosis. So I was never stressed about it. I never thought for 1 minute I had breast cancer. I don't have it in the family. I just didn't think it. And I was really more along the lines of what she told me about the trauma. So in the meantime, talking to my mum, who had been ex-head of Melbourne University Physiotherapy School, and she's an academic, and she's like, this is really interesting. I'm going to see what evidence and research has been done so far. And there had been none in Australia. Now, Jasmine and Maggie, my daughters, were both playing AFL and basketball, and I knew that they were getting, more impact to the breasts, because when I asked them, they're like, stupid question, of course we get hit in the boobs.
Yeah.
And we found out that really 1 in 4 girls through the college system in the US were obtaining an injury. And that was a lot. That was in 2019. And, they weren't playing AFLW or, women's AFL. And it really got me thinking, what protection was there, because my surgeon had said if you were protected, we wouldn't be having this question, we wouldn't be going through this. So then I looked at what was available on the market, and everything was sort of a garment. It was a garment that had some padding in it. It might have been a rugby one that had shoulders in it and maybe a sternum guard of sorts. There were some that had been designed that were like circles on the boobs of a foam. But the research also pointed out that compression is not what you want for your breasts for long-term breast health. So we're like, okay, so there's something available, but it's really not doing anything except negating a tiny bit of the force impact. So then we also found out that some research had been done in the 90s, and it had been a biomechanics professor who had done the research into 4 different materials as to what was the best to absorb force impact in the breast, and it turned out to be a material, polyethylene, which is basically, people go, well, that's plastic. Well, it's not really, because it actually disperses the force impact. So once you have them on your breast and you receive an impact, you actually can't feel anything. So it's dispersing the impact. So we were like, right, we know what we need. That's what we're going to work with, because it's light, because it can be mouldable to breast shape. It will basically encapsulate the breasts in their natural, how they should be. And we can, put them in a bra. We don't want to add layers on. That was what was also we were finding when we talked to athletes. The garments were just adding more on. And at the time, the professional AFLW girls were actually playing in the summer. So they might be running 10Ks in a 40-degree day, which the guys weren't doing. And it was just adding another dimension. They were restrictive. You couldn't have any ounce of meat on you, because it had to go somewhere, whether it came out the sleeves or things like that. So then we worked with physios, the surgeons, athletes, to work out what we really needed. And we worked out that it was going to be inserts, something that was really adaptable, that you chuck in, like your mouth guard, like your shin guard, when you go out to, go on the field. And when we did produce them finally, Jasmine, for example, was playing Caulfield Grammar first footy. She would, chuck them out on the way, in, like she did her mouth guard. She's that type of girl. Whereas Maggie, my youngest, would wear them from home to the match, then home, in them. And if she ever forgot them, like she did at school footy, she would tell me exactly how many times she got hit in her boobs. I got 20 times in that one, blah, 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 blah. So that's how it started initially. I've talked maybe a bit too long, so you might want to ask a question.
No, it's perfect, Suzie. So what sport did you play where you must have acquired these knocks?
Well, interestingly, not impact. I played netball and tennis. So who the hell knows?
Wow. I didn't play an impact sport either. I played tennis as well, but I tell you what, you remember getting hit, don't you? And maybe, I don't know, if it wasn't a sport, it could have been even just knocked or...
I don't remember getting hit in the boobs ever, but I did have a brother who probably threw cricket balls at me. So I don't know, but I do remember playing in a Caulfield Grammar tennis tournament, and one mum aimed at me on the net the whole time, and she finally got me in the thigh, and I had a ball that mark in that thigh. I've never liked her since, by the way.
Fair enough.
And I had it like a ball mark, like on my left thigh for a very, very long time. So, things happen, and we're pretty much taught, I mean, the girls, playing these contact sports that were once male sports, we're taught to ignore it, In soccer, for example, a lot of them won't chest the ball. They're avoiding it because they're breasts. but then they get a kick to the back of the, shin and to the calf, and they roll on the ground like the boys do.
Yeah.
But they're avoiding what actually really does hurt, which is the breasts.
It's quite interesting that I reckon they've had cups in cricket for a very long time. So they're protecting their bits, and yet it's just been such an oversight.
They've always worn cups. There's no guy who would go on a cricket pitch without one, and that's made of the same plastic as Lego. So it cracks, it sweats. Yeah. There's 2 sizes. It's highly uncomfortable, but there is no way they're not going to wear it. I actually was watching Australia versus England over summer, and the captain walked onto the pitch he was going to bat. He readjusted that box 25 times before he turned around to the crease.
Yeah,
so he was not going to do anything, and everyone waited till he adjusted that at least 25 times.
I wonder if, given you've done all this research and you know how impractical that material is, have you thought about going into the cup area as well?
Look, down the track, when I originally started, it was to go into all protective. I was originally Boob Armour, had a problem with a ginormous American company who made me change my name. So that changed a lot of stuff along the way.
Is that when you became Boob Protect?
Yes.
Now, why? What was that about? What happened there?
So that was a trademark issue. Under Armour didn't like that I was using the word armour.
It's not, they don't own that word.
Well, to them they do. So we had to change our name. A long, expensive process.
Oh, I bet. Especially with, I get it, with all the branding and merch, everything you've done would have been labelled. So
that's right, and it's just about the word. Look, it was easy, and we sped it up. It was easy to actually do, because for the overseas market, we couldn't progress without it, so we just changed, as quick as we could. Australia, we've had longer to adapt.
So I know you are international and obviously in the American market. Where now also does Boob Protect get sold? What other markets in the world are using
So it's really interesting. Most of our people who wear breast protection, or our breast protection, we've got about 4,500 people wearing it globally, and they came to us. So they found us. Yeah. We've never really advertised because we don't sort of fit anywhere. When you're creating a new category, we don't fit anywhere. So it's like you can't utilise all those other, we're hopping on the back of the other people who do the breast protection. Yes. There are more companies doing it, and thank God they are, but they're in different ways doing it. As I said, it's more garments, and we're probably one of the only companies that's a female, producing this. So it's been guys doing it because they see a niche for it, but we're doing it because we've lived the experience. We're doing it because we've got breasts. That's why we've got 2 inserts, because you and I both know most breasts aren't the same size, and one's normally higher than the other. So you have to adapt to that, and that's why we want them to put them in a bra. Otherwise, if you've got padding in a garment, they might be above your boobs or below your boobs, and they're t-shirt sizes, not boob sizes. So we are also doing trials with the military. So the military have worked out that, we've worked out, and everyone's worked out, that body armour, which they have to wear as soon as they're on duty, is causing friction, abrasions, compression to female soldiers wearing body armour, which they do as soon as they go on duty. That could be just on the beat, the police too. Which is exciting. We're doing trials to obviously alleviate that problem between the armour and the breasts. So
if you put the insert into a bra and then the armour still goes on, that's still going to have that compression thing, but does it just disperse the pressure? Is that, because otherwise it's extra distance sort of thing?
So the armour is a one-size-fits-all at the moment. It's a flat plate that men and women wear, so it's not fitting properly anyway. So wherever their pressure points are is where it's sitting. And it does a lot of pinching to the sides too. So our inserts go around and hopefully alleviate that. There is a company that are doing a female breast plate, which is amazing because we need it in different sizes and stuff. But you've still got that movement issue where, you're going one way, the plate's going the other. So it's a work in progress, but it's definitely something that's been forgotten, like in sport as well. Females wearing female football boots, female kit, and that's changed, but it's slow.
Yeah, and look, even I can see problematically that if they were to adjust, then they're going to have different size armour. Do you know what I mean? Or different size plates. So it's just, and then that's just a production issue for them as well. Like I can see the challenges. So your solution would cater for all of that. Now, this was a big jump. You went from marketing and being a stay-at-home parent, which is, I get it, multitasking at its finest. But how hard was it transitioning into this business mentality and running a business? And I know you've had some challenges, but can you talk us through what that was like?
So I'm a bit like a dog with a bone. When I start thinking about something, I can't stop. So I am like a research maniac, and I was going to find a solution no matter what. I probably surprised myself in a way that I thought people would just understand it and go, wow, we've needed this for so long. But the biggest challenge has probably been people accepting that it is actually a problem. There is, immediate and long-term effects to breast injury, and then making a business out of that. Because I'll have people go, wow, I love what you're doing. Oh, but I don't need that. And I'm like, well, you do. Or, wow, I love that, but my daughter doesn't have big boobs. I'm like, it doesn't matter the size of your boobs. It's, breast tissue. You can obtain an injury as a flat-chested girl that it presents itself as deformity when your boobs grow. So, and asymmetry. So there's a lot going on, but we're bootstrapped. I don't have investors. It's been learning and teaching myself the whole way. So website design, I suppose keeping books, paying accountants, the little things to, I go, oh, what's that bill for? Oh, that's just a tiny little app that does something on your website that you didn't even know you paid for. Or, I suppose the PR and the marketing side were the easy bits for me. The shipping, the freight, the manufacturing, the different, taxes and duties depending on countries. That's all been me trying to teach myself. That was like, in the UK, was like a mind-blowing experience because no one could tell me the right answer. And, things like CE certification, which you need in EU and the UK, but in Australia we don't have it like that. So, people giving you different information. It's just, every day, and keeping the motivation, which has been really, really difficult because, you win some, you lose a lot. I've had sponsorships along the way that have cost me money and there's been no real return. You don't get the support. So it's been a big challenge, and I sleep it, I dream it, I try not to talk about it because I find talking about myself and things like that really boring. So people ask me questions, I'll go, yeah, whatever, blah, 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 but let's move on. Let's talk about you because I don't actually want to live it every day as such, if that makes sense, through every conversation. But we've won some amazing awards, but they also haven't reflected in sales either. So, last year I won ISPO Brand New in Munich, which is the biggest sports fair in the world, and I won the brand new product out of 120 new companies.
Amazing.
Yeah, and it was really fun, and I loved Munich. But yeah, it's definitely challenging. Definitely challenging.
So, how do you keep going? How do you keep yourself motivated?
I like to pat the animals. I'll go. Yeah. Thank God with my children away, I do have animals. I do a lot of vacuuming because I, can turn myself off with my Dyson and just vacuum and then empty the vacuum into the bin and look how that hair's gone in. I need to sort of step back and then I can remotivate. Like, being away at the moment, which we are, helps me switch off for a minute and, reprogram myself because I do need to do that. Yep. I like to keep fit and, go for walks and things like that, but it is hard and you need some good wins to keep motivated.
Absolutely. And I remember, and this might be something that for you resonates as well, I just interviewed Vithia, who's she started her own fire investigation unit, first in the world for a woman of colour. And because anyone who's running their own business struggles, I think, with motivation at some stage. She does this thing where on her phone, she writes down every little win, all the little wins she has. Because she says she gets in those moments where she's like, this is really hard, and you know what I mean, I don't know if I'm making progress, and those things take a step back. But then she looks at the wins and she goes, you know what, look how far I've come. I am making progress. This is working for me. And it's something I'm like, I reckon I need to do that just to remind myself that things are happening, and that, you know, the difference you are making, because you are making such a difference, and the product you've come up with was such a gap in the market and so necessary. So I don't know. I feel like it is hard to stay motivated, and I think that mental talk sometimes is really challenging. Do you go through that?
Oh, absolutely. I've got a crazy brain. My brain, you know, and being the old lady that I am now with the menopause, you know,
Oh,
wake up
yeah.
in the night, doom, doom, the world is ending and everything's ending and I'm shutting the door and this is it and it's over. And, you know, read the media every day. Now, there's a company going under every day, and they might have been one, like there's a sports brand that I actually hadn't heard of, an Aussie one, who had a $50 million turnover and now they're closing their doors. So, you know, I mean, especially being an entrepreneur in this country, as with what we've just been presented with from the government, you know, it doesn't look good for us.
What's negative,
Pretty
right?
hard. But the
Yeah.
wins, yes, you've got to remember that. And I do have to remember that I did it on my own. And I've done
Yeah.
every step I've done it. Do you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
yeah, but it's not good enough for me. So I'll keep
And
going.
well, you keep striving, of course. So, what else have you learned about yourself in this process?
Well, I suppose I've learnt that I'm resilient in things like that. I think one of the things I never loved, and I was really bad at school, was public speaking, and now I really like it. And I think the problem was, you know, you were given a topic that I never felt I'd researched enough. I know this inside out. So this is my baby. I could talk about it till the cows come home. So
Yeah.
that's something I probably never thought young Suzie ever would be able to do. You know, get up and, you know, I went and presented I made it as a top 10 finalist for a venture capitalist firm in the US. How many years ago was that? Maybe, let's say 3 or 4. And I had to go and pitch to 100 investors in a stadium in St. Louis. And I was first up. And I'd never done a pitch in my life. And I had to have slides. I had to have, you know, all these things. And I'd done a practice the day before. And I really was bad. And I got up in the middle of the night and talked in the mirror in the bathroom and rewrote a few things because I had my daughter Jasmine with me in a bed, so I had to go into the bathroom. And then the next day, before I went on, they said to me, by the way, one of the judges is from the company that basically wants you to close down. They're not going to judge you, but they're going to sit in on your pitch. And if I had my wits about me, I would have said they should actually leave because they don't want to make me, but they're going to listen to what I say. They want to close me down.
No, thanks.
Yeah, and I should have, but I didn't. And I did. So there was top 5, and I didn't make the top 5. I apparently made the top 6, but the others were very, very, very established businesses, and most of them, and they were all men. Actually, they were all men. Yeah.
Huh. It's good to see that that's changing.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously you've learnt a lot and your skills have developed in so many ways. You mentioned young Suzie. I would love to know, when you were little, what did you think you wanted to be? What was your dreams, and is this somewhere you thought you'd end up?
No, gosh, no. I wouldn't have even dreamt. I mean, in the 70s and 80s,
Yeah.
I can't even remember. What did I? Oh, I got into business, but I was never interested. I was a really good student till I met boys, and then that all went out the window.
You sound so similar.
And then year 12, I really didn't want to do any study. I just wanted to go to the closest party there was. But I
When
sort
you
of
were really little.
really little. I was quite creative, but Mum sort of led me down a path of not creative. My sister was very, very creative, my older sister, so she was sort of allowed to do that. I probably wanted to be a tennis player for a minute there. I would have loved to have been a vet because I love animals, but I also wouldn't want to be a vet because I don't want to do anything to harm them. And I know, you know, vets struggle with a lot of mental health. It's a
Yes.
big job. I don't really know what little Suzie wanted to be.
Yeah.
I don't think I
That's okay.
thought that far ahead. I probably thought I'd just get married and be a housewife.
Yeah. We can tick that too. So
Yes. But I did, you know, I suppose I probably wanted to travel and things like that, which I did a lot of, you know, in my 20s, lived over in Italy for a long time. And yeah, I don't know. I know I was always really confused with what I really did want to be. I've said that even into my 40s. I still haven't worked out what I want to be.
So the skills that you use now in being an entrepreneur and running this business, are they skills that you've developed over time and that you've had to learn? Or do you think you've always had these skills and now they've just found a place and how you can use them?
I think I've always been really interested in business and how it works. So I don't think I had those skills. Absolutely not. I think majority of them I've learned along the way, but by being interested in them. And I suppose technology's helped as well. Now that we've got AI, that's been such a game changer, even with research. I mean, obviously you have to check it, but it just has been, I suppose, helping with time time was, I mean, even early on, I was spending days doing research. I built my own database by myself. Like I was going to websites and building that. Like I built a database of 6,000 contacts of sporting clubs that I was going to approach. I did a lot of it in COVID because we were all stuck.
Yeah. Wow, that's incredible. It was so time consuming, wasn't it? And now it's like, build this for me, find this for me. It's such a time saver. I would agree 100%. What would you say to someone who is in your position, a young person wanting to start their own business? What advice would you give them?
Well, there's so many of them who are doing it, and some of them are overnight successes. So I look at them and I'm like, I'm so envious of what you're doing. If I could go back a bit, I probably would have. No, I wouldn't probably have changed anything because everywhere I am took those. I had to take that path to get there. I think doing your due diligence, working out that there is obviously a problem and you've got the solution. And I suppose getting a team behind you and a mentor would be amazing.
Do you have a mentor? Oh, sorry.
No, I don't have a mentor. I have people I have conversations with.
Yeah.
I've had a few people who've tried to help me along the way, but then they like, oh, and what am I getting out of that? And there's like, oh, you went from being my mentor to what's in it for me now? Yeah. So I've become really reserved and very sus on things as well. And I don't like that I've become a little less trusting in people, and then it makes me not take those steps. But you do need a soundboard, and Mum's a great soundboard in the research stuff, but she knows nothing about marketing and advertising. She calls an Instagram post an ad. I'm like, what are you talking about? She goes, that thing you did, that ad. And I go, that's not an ad, Mum, that's a post. She goes, well, I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about then. And then, my husband's an ex-footballer, so he should be good, but he's got his own, business and stuff to talk to about. So a lot of it I do in my own head, but it would be great to have a mentor or someone you can, and it'd be great to have investors who truly believe in what you're doing and are there to see it through, not just for a quick return.
Yeah, so is that something you're open to?
Absolutely, if they're the right people. I've had a lot that are like, after Munich, I had this German company, and they're like, and we will make it, I've got the face of it, it's going to be a female boxer. And I said, no. Boxing's great, but you can get an injury just by that.
It's too niche.
So it's too niche. That's not our people. Yes, they need to be wearing it, and we're working with England Boxing actually to make it mandate, but it's way less than that. It's falling over. It's, in playing sport, it's, body to body. It's not this, it doesn't have to be a whack to the boobs all the time. In sport like netball, anything. Netball when I played wasn't as physical as it is now. You stopped so you wouldn't step. Now it's like half basketball. But I do think anything where there's contact, impact or a ball, absolutely. Yes. I don't think in tennis because you're covering yourself. I definitely think in cricket. I think in any ball and bat sports where, the force of it. Cricket, absolutely. And I believe with cricket, a lot of girls say it's actually when you're fielding.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense, doesn't it?
Which I love. In softball and things like that, I loved fielding. I like fielding more than batting for some weird reason.
Yeah. No, but yeah, I get that because especially when you're close in and the ball comes pretty fast. Do you know what I mean? You might not get your hands there in time.
Well, there's also a misconception. So, you might go into Rebel and see a bra that says high impact. That's high impact for bounce. It's got
Yes.
nothing to do with what's coming at you. So
No.
people think, oh, that's high impact. I'll wear that because I'm playing this sort of sport. But it does nothing.
No.
The bra is great for bounce, but no force impact. That's why, our inserts are 2 millimetres thin, I'll say,
Yeah.
and 15 grams. It's like you're wearing nothing.
That's incredible. That thin.
That thin. And they're flexible, but they have to be a bit hard to actually absorb the impact. And then you've got, World Rugby, you can't wear anything that's a bit hard. And it's like, but you haven't even had a look at what we're doing. They still have female athletes in padding about that fat.
Yeah, that's just, and it's
So
just.
we're not going to run faster and we're not going to do better when we've got bulk on us.
Yeah, and it's affecting movements and agility, so that's not useful.
Oh, absolutely. I always imagine the
tell me-
wind getting caught.
catching
Yeah.
sail and taking off.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So I know that, I mean, this sounds like it's something that everyone needs to be aware of, or not sounds like it is. What's next? What's next for you? What's in the planning to get this out further or to...
Well, I've got a few things in the pipeline. As I say all the time, you just need that little bit of, something amazing, some recognition. Like, we're going to launch with some rugby clubs soon. I've got a guy who's going to help me do, really take it to the next level, scale it, because I can't do that on my own. And as I said, you lose it too when you're so close to it. So, there's a few things that just to get over the edge will change everything, if that makes sense. So there's a few little hurdles that, may present itself in the positive in the next few months, and then that changes everything. So there's a lot of that.
Absolutely. But keeping everything crossed. And I know you've got like Katrina Gorry you've got some big names that are publicly supporting and advertising almost for you as well. So a little bit more of that would be helpful too, wouldn't it?
Well, it would. And look, Katrina was amazing because at the time she was breastfeeding. So we have a lot of athletes who are breastfeeding their children and they want to protect their milk supply. We've got a lot of athletes who might have had a mastectomy and they've had a reconstruction or nothing and they're wanting to get back into sport, but they're worried about their breasts being impacted. So every day I wake up, there's something new. When we launched, and the day we were launching was the day that COVID was announced, so our press release was going out that Monday, and a friend said, there's a thing coming called COVID. I'm like, what the hell's that? And then we were all stuck at home, as you remember, 3 kids being taught from school. My husband, real estate was one of the first to shut down. And at that time, my target was only AFLW. I was really only thinking them. And a lot of the presidents that I was even ringing, because my husband was home, because remember we didn't know how long we were going to be home, and they wouldn't speak to me, so I'd get him to ring and they'd speak boy footy stuff and then he'd pop in about, have you heard of breast protection today? And then they'd speak to him about it. But no one was interested in even talking to me about it. None of the male presidents. But then we realised, that COVID one, that we needed to change our strategy and we went into retail. But retail is good and bad because unless it's the mother, father, country town sports store who are, wanting to sell their items. If you've got little Johnny, 15, working in a ginormous store, he doesn't even know what they are. So, it's about the awareness. It's about, people coming really looking for it and having some elite athletes spreading the word. A lot of them, the older ones don't want to change their things. Some of them strap their breasts and they're not interested and that's fine. But we want to create it at grassroots level because that's when, the damage can be done and creating the habit early on.
And it needs to almost be as second nature as wearing a box.
Well, it should be. I mean, that's what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it seems so obvious, doesn't it? But, well, I mean, I'm a massive believer in ingredients with your product. I think it's incredible. I just have couple of what-if questions for you. So The first one is, what if you had to choose a completely different career tomorrow? What would it be and why?
Professional tennis player.
Haha, yes.
But not at this age. I've been in the system for years, and I am really happy with how I'm going and touring the world still as an old lady. That's what I'd like, thanks.
Yeah. I could see you in a tennis kit. I reckon you'd rock it.
I did used to rock a tennis kit in the olden days. But
How good was your shirt?
I need to get onto it again. I actually had, because my son works at a golf club up here, and I had 2 lessons because I had lessons before the kids were born, and I didn't like it. And then I thought, right, Ned's up here, and he said, there's a really great coach here. So I actually really enjoyed it this time round. Made a lot of sense.
So I would be thinking, actually, golf I could do because you get cute outfits in golf too.
Yeah, I like the outfits too. I'm happy with the outfit. But I would have loved to have been a professional athlete if that was possible.
Yeah, right. Wow. Never say never, right?
Bit old now.
Maybe
Bit
for the
crooked. I was
circus,
really
but,
sore. I was really sore after that golf. Ooh, those forearms.
This is it, isn't it? And I'm with you, like menopause, it just makes everything harder. Or perimenopause, it's like, recovery included.
It does. But if it wasn't something like that, it would be another business. So I have to say professional athlete.
And you don't know what other business
Well,
area?
I've actually been playing around with something. I created a website using AI.
Yes.
And it's another niche, but I'm still playing around. So the website's up there. I've created content and things like that, and I'm doing it all with AI. And I'll just see. I'm not investing 1 single cent in it till I see if it gets any traction. So I'm sort of addicted to things like that.
I think with your brain being entrepreneurial and just the fact that you're always going, what if and where and what could happen? I just think it's probably endless. It probably just, you open up that creative brain and then it just goes all sorts of places you hadn't even imagined. It's very
I
exciting.
know, and
though,
the
isn't it?
only thing holding me back the whole time is money. Only thing.
Yeah.
Money is
Okay,
the key to everything.
If money was no issue, what would your business be in? Is that something different?
It would be completely different because I'd be able to produce what I want to produce using the athletes I want to use, or the talent, as in it could be, a soldier or something like that. I'd be able to do more. So absolutely, money is the biggest problem.
Yeah, challenge. I think that's probably so common for.
Yeah, because we've worked out what works and doesn't work. It's really the marketing, the spend, being able to afford the ads, trialing different platforms. So money.
Yeah. Okay, so we need a sponsor. Anyone listening? Major
And we
sponsor,
want someone
please.
who's passionate about, protecting girls for long-term breast health, because we now have the data that shows that it affects breastfeeding. So I had a lot of friends who couldn't breastfeed. The nurses made them feel like they were failures, and who knows what happened.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Wow. Okay, and the last what if question. What if you could let go of one of your biggest fears? What would it be?
You're going to laugh at what my fear is.
No, not at all.
Driving on freeways.
Oh, okay. Why?
I don't like myself driving on a freeway. I had an experience coming back from the snow when I was younger. My boss wouldn't let me so it was like a long weekend, and we had the Tuesday off but not the Monday, and my boss made me come home, and it was terrible weather, and I was coming back from Bulla, and I wasn't a skier or anything, and it was torrential rain. There were logger trucks, and I ended up crawling in the dark into a petrol station outside Melbourne, and Mum and Dad came and picked me up. And forever since then, I hate driving fast on a freeway, and I hate trucks. So if I could let go of that, it would change my life, because everyone laughs at me that I do the round route.
Okay, so it would change your life by making you get there more efficiently and faster?
Yes, and not have panic attacks. And when I do try,
Yeah.
I'm not very good at it. I get really sweaty, and I used to even be a bad passenger. So that would be amazing, because it would just take this bit out of my brain, this fear that I really don't need. It's boring, isn't it?
No. But because like a lot of fears, it would affect like your plans for a day. If you have to go somewhere, you'd be like, oh, you know, like you're going to have to account for that in things, the plans you make and what you know, your itinerary and all sorts of things. Like it would have a big impact.
When we drive down for like Christmas holidays, say down to the peninsula, it used to be, who wants to go with Dad? Who wants to go with me? Well, the dog always came with me, but they'd also, you know, like Gerald would go the freeway and I'd go the scenic route. And I was like, you didn't even beat me by very much, so don't worry about that. But like, we love Lawn and places like that, but I'm like, I couldn't go down in another car because I hate that freeway. That's probably my number one freeway I hate, the Geelong one.
Yeah, oh, fair enough. It's not great anyway, but wow, there you go. Well, I understand that, and that's definitely not funny. And if it makes you feel any better, not that I have a fear, although I kind of, it's not like that, but my son, bless him, takes photos of my parking because it is so bad that now I think I've created this like paranoia. I can't seem to drive into a car park, so...
Oh, that's funny. Are you going backwards?
Where I'm going,
well, you just got to go backwards.
Backwards I'm better. Yeah, backwards I'm better. But front, I'm like, okay, I have to park so far away to try and get somewhere where... But even going backwards, I'm like, oh, is my nose going to hit? I don't know. So
does your car
I do get that it...
Does it have the sensor?
Yeah, but I don't know. I'm still don't trust the parameters. Like, I still don't know that I'm going to not scrape the front of the... Anyway, it does affect...
Yeah. It's really weird because I've had the car I've got currently, I've had for a couple of years, but it lies. So it has you quite far out from the curb, even though you're following, compared to my old one, which I was perfect next to the curb. I'm like, is that my park? Wow, I'm out far.
Maybe I just need to get like a car that self-parks for me or something like that as well. I mean,
they're available.
Yeah, I know. So anyway, I fully understand it. Suzie, thank you so much. And thank you for caring so much about women in sport and the impact to our bodies and our health, because it is such an important thing that you're doing. And I love your product, although I don't do any contact sport, but my daughter does. And I feel like I just want to try them out now anyway. Do you know, even going to the chiro, I feel like it hurts my boobs.
Oh, the chiro, yeah.
I wonder if it would help with that, because that's a heavy... I don't know. I'm happy to put
no,
it in.
Well, you don't... Well, he's not meant to hurt your boobs. I'm saying it's a he, isn't it?
It's a friend. No, it's actually a girl. But the table, when she does my back, I'm like, oh, God, it just hurts.
Oh, yeah,
and I'm
yeah.
not invested at all.
Well, I think in this instance, you want to... Well, it shouldn't be doing that. You want them to sort of spread out a bit. But, mate, nice if the table had some holes in it.
I know. Not that they'd fill holes, but still maybe a bit more padding for the table. So anyway, but
there's a hole for your head, isn't there?
Yes. Down the track. I don't know what you do with that. But anyway, your product is amazing. And I just am very happy to promote this anywhere I can, because I just think it is so important. And I would love to see it become almost mandated that women need to wear.
That's my goal. But, as soon as it's mandated, they're admitting there's a problem, and that's been a lot of, the hierarchy don't want to do that.
Because once they do that, there potentially opens a door for lawsuit, doesn't it? A litigation of we weren't protected, and now we are. So is that going to be a complete block for moving forward?
I just don't know. It's just, I hope not. I hope people see through it, that, like the guys, we're back to the box, aren't we?
Was there ever a time before the box where they didn't have to wear
I think the box was created in the 1800s.
Oh, well, of course it was. And is
With
it
probably metal from the royal palace or something like that?
Gold-plated. Is it the jewels?
The crown jewels. Why wouldn't it be?
That's exactly right. Is it compulsory for men to wear a box?
I thought it was, but I'm not actually... Yeah, I think it is. I mean, it's like a mouth guard. Do you know what I mean? It is compulsory, no mouth guard, no play. And, there's a lot of... Well, I also know kids who don't wear mouth guards. Shin guards, they wouldn't go on without shin guards. It's just got to be looked at.
Yeah. I was going to say, like mouth guards now, compulsory for juniors. When you're an adult, choose your own. But if it's compulsory for juniors to wear breast, and especially for year 5 and 6, when they're developing, it must be super important. But to have these in, that's when you can create habit and
That's right.
expectations.
But you've got some who support it and then some who don't. So there's a lot of barriers, unfortunately.
Yeah.
You know, I've got to take the supporters
Of
who
course.
can lead the way.
Yeah, and you do need clubs and other people championing this for you because you can't do it on your own. You need to have that support.
No, and we have had some amazing clubs. Soccer clubs, I don't know if it's a European thing. Some of them are like, right, we'll buy them for the whole club. We're going to protect
Awesome.
every girl as a duty of care. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. That's where I reckon it's going to end up, Susie. I reckon it is duty of care because
Duty of
as
care.
adults, we have to be the responsible ones now for our juniors. Love that. Keep everything crossed because I feel like it just naturally has to have a future and an evolution because it's just such an amazing product.
Well, let's hope. Let's pray.
Yes, absolutely. Susie, thank you so much for your time. It's just been wonderful to have you on and so informative.
Thank you.
I can't wait to see this everywhere.
You're a sweetheart. Thanks for having me on.